At the tone, 12 hours, 20 minutes, coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 21 minutes, coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 22 minutes, coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 23 minutes, coordinated universal time. At 12 hours, 24 minutes, coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 25 minutes. Universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 26 minutes. Coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 37 minutes. Coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 28 minutes. Coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 49 minutes. Coordinated universal time. At the tone, 12 hours, 30 minutes. Coordinated Universal Time.
Hey, it sounds like it must be that time. This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. And what I'm going to attempt to do this morning is just in general review some software packages for controlling an SDR, software-defined radio. And this is just a few of the many. And let it be known, I'm no expert. As a matter of fact, some of these programs, I'm just scratched the surface. But the idea is by doing a hangout, I can get inputs from you guys and gals to maybe help me out as far as capabilities and stuff like that. So first, let me tell you what my setup is. I had the option of either doing a hangout on the air or streaming on YouTube. Now, a hangout on the air, you use Hangouts software. So they're kind of doing all the work for you. They're controlling the camera, and you have a little bit of control. But it seems to be a little more efficient because they're doing a lot of the processing and everything on their end. So since I'm using a kind of a mid-range or maybe a little lower computer, which is running an AMD processor, I don't remember the number, then I'm kind of I'm struggling a little bit about CPU power. The other option that I can use is I can do streaming using OBS software. And then OBS software is doing most of the work on this computer. So it's kind of a trade-off there. Now, OBS gives me more control of what's going on the streaming than Hangout on the air. Okay. And I don't have a real fast internet connection, so that's another limiting factor. So we're going to attempt this, trying to run the Hangout on the air and this other software to control the SDRs. That's what we're going to attempt. At any minute, it could crash. So beware. All right. And also, I am watching the stream, just like you're watching it, on a little laptop. So I can see the chat room. That's how I can see the chat room. So I'm really using two computers using my internet access. Well, it's worse than that. Last time I checked, I have 23 devices using my internet access at any given time. I mean, like cell phones right now are turned off, so they're not using it. And the Roku box is not using it. So it fluctuates from about 13 or 14 to up to about 24. So at any given time, my internet access could be bogged down. That's another variable. Okay, I'm just clicking in the chat room. We got Illinois Citizen, and including the gentlemen that were there previous, such as Terry and 741 and a couple other people. Thanks for stopping by, helping me with this experiment. So let me now try to switch to my desktop so you can see my desktop. All right, let's see. Let's try sharing. And you'll get this like double mirror effect initially. All right, share. And then you get that double mirror effect, and then I can close this program down, not off, but just minimize it. And now you should be able to see my screen of, and let me hide this, of SDR Uno running. And I'm gonna pause for a few seconds here to I see it. Okay, so it did switch. You are seeing SDR Uno. Now, let me tell you about my radio configuration that I've got right this minute. I've got right now, I'm running SDR Uno. I'm using my SDR Play 1. It's using the RTL-SDR.com medium wave filter because I have strong medium wave stations that just wipe out anything on the shortwave band. And I'm connected through a mechanical switch to my G5RV antenna, and it's 8:35 in the morning here in Clearwater, Florida. So that's kind of the setup. And what I'm going to try to show you is a couple of different programs, and I'm just going to, in general, talk about these programs. And I'm looking for you to give me inputs about each of these programs, some of the features, whatever. And I'm not going to go into a big discussion because, like I said before, I'm no expert at any of these software packages. And these are just 3 out of hundreds. And they also they all have thousands of configurations you can change to make them better or worse. Okay, so let's see if someone could give me a feedback on the video and audio right now, how it's coming through on the internet, what's breaking up. That's my biggest fear, is my computer or my internet service getting overloaded and the video becoming choppy and the audio becoming choppy. That's my biggest fear. That's what I'm concerned about. And if I can get past that, then I could do these more often and more organized. So anybody out there watching? We got 14 people watching, and I'm waiting for at least one person to tell me how the audio and video is before I proceed, because maybe there isn't any audio or video. Okay, thanks everybody for giving me a report. So we're going to proceed on. Now this one, SDR Uno, is designed for the SDR Play SDRs, but it will work with other ones. I remember 6 months ago when I first heard about it from one of my viewers, I tried to get it working with the the RTL-R. Let's start over with the RTL-SDR.com SDR, little dongle. I tried to get it working with that. I couldn't get it working. Later on, with some help, I did get, and an update to the software, I did get it working. And then I got some money from one of my subscribers to purchase the SDR Play 1 because they were on sale because the new ones were coming out. So I did that. So that's what I'm using now. So now that's the configuration I've got right this minute. Now, other variable is the actual SDR dongle you're using. That's another variable. So anyway, today we're going to use that SDR Play 1 SDR, and we're going to try 3 software packages. So here we go. Now this package, it has a pretty steep learning curve unless you have somebody that can help you. Now 741, who's in the chat room, he helped me with this, and some other people helped me. But 741 pointed out a couple of key things that I was stuck on, and I got it working, and it's working good now. As you look at this screen here, does my mouse show up? I don't know if my mouse shows up or not. I'll have to tell you where I'm pointing if it doesn't. You can see all these windows. These are all individual windows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 windows of things that you can do, control, whatever with this program. It's unbelievable. And I've talked about several of them over several shows that I've done in the past. So I'm just going to talk about a few of them that are kind of unique. The one that's most unique and the one that I'm so glad I got working is this up here. Oh, the mouse is working. Good. Oh, that makes it a lot easier. Okay, up here is the memory panel. And you can set up your own memory channels in a file, or you can download them and import them from other databases. Now, this is from a huge database. I can't remember the database. I think it's the EIBI database. It's huge. But the problem with that database, it starts at DC. And so it's got entries from DC, meaning 0 megahertz or kilohertz, to 30 megahertz. So it's huge. What I did, it's very easy to do. I think I did it in Excel. What I did is I chopped out everything below, I think, 2 megahertz. So it's a little smaller, but it's still huge because every frequency and every station may have multiple entries depending on when they broadcast. So you can see right here, Air Delhi broadcast at during different times during the day. So there's, a half a dozen, 8 entries just for that one. So you get a lot of duplication. It's not really duplication because it's the same station, but it's different times. Now I could go in and delete all the duplications, then the file will be even smaller. So that's another thing. But I like this whole thing, and you just click on, you can scroll through it, and you just click on a station, and it tunes the radio to that station. You can just randomly pick one here. Just click on that one. So you can see up here now, it's tuned to 6.210. 6.210. So that's one of the features. Another feature that I use a lot, because I do a lot of searching for signals on shortwave, for instance, is you right click over here, and then you have all these different options. Starting a new bank, a blank bank, opening an existing one, saving the one that you've modified, and so on. So, and here's the import. Here's import EIBI, the CSV file. So that's that huge file I was talking about. So you could import this into this program, and boom, there it is. Start using it. You can search for a station or a frequency. And the one I use a lot is filter by the frequency that you're tuned to. So if I click on that, it will search for that database and find all the entries at, this case, 6.21 megahertz. All right. Whew. Okay, let's see. So that's kind of one of the real standout features of this program. Another feature of this program is this record function that will record what your radio is receiving, and then later on you can play it back just like you were listening to the radio again and have complete control like you did originally. So that's really a nice feature. Here's all the different modes, AM, FM, shortwave, whatever. USB single sideband, that's what I'm trying to say. And then here's some direct tunes to the amateur radio bands. Here's some more controls of you just name it, all kinds of controls. And the other thing that I want to compare is, excuse me, down here on this program, down here in this corner, it tells you the CPU usage of this program. It attempts to do that. How accurate it is, I don't know. So right now, I believe there's 2 numbers. Now here's where I could use some help. I don't know exactly what the difference is between the two numbers. I think the top number, which is marked SDR, is the percentage of CPU power that's being used by this program. I think that's what this is. And I think the one below it, which is SYS, I think that's the overall CPU usage by everything that's running, including Hangout on here. So right now, that's running at, for SYS, that's running at about 55%. So I do have some margin there. Now, what will affect that is the bandwidth that you allow the program to take a snapshot of. And it's real time, of course, or pretty much real time. So I've got it right now at 2 megahertz. So that means up here, I'm seeing 2 megahertz of signal. That's the bandwidth. The next option is the DEC. The DEC, as I understand it, is, I would call it resolution. How many samples it's taking in that 2 megahertz or whatever that other number is, so that it's displaying either a high resolution, a lot of samples, or lower resolution, fewer samples. And you can change this number from 1. That means it's sampling as fast as it can. Excuse me. Yeah, yeah, 741. That's what I thought it was. So you can take and change the DEC number, and basically what I call is lowering the resolution. And therefore, theoretically, if that's what it is, if you're running into overloading your CPU, you can have it take fewer samples. That's my understanding. For instance, right now I'm at 1, and I'm running about, on the SDR, I'm running 18%. Let's change it to 8 and see if those numbers change. Yes, they did. They went down just like I thought they would. So now the SDR is 7% and the SYS is 40%. Significant reduction, but now I'm missing signals because it's not sampling every frequency. Well, not every frequency, but it's sampling fewer frequencies to display up here. I don't know what the interval is. I don't know how that equates to the interval at which it's sampling. In other words, is it now sampling only every 10 kilohertz? And so if I got a station that's at 5 kilohertz increment, I'm going to miss it. I think that's what that means. Again, I'm no expert. So let me put it back to 1 and watch the waveform up here, or this waterfall down here. We're going to go to 1. Okay, I think, okay, there's a couple of signals. There's one here and there's one over here that it wasn't showing me before. So that's kind of the general effect by doing that. If you make that number bigger, then you're using less CPU power. You make it smaller, you're looking in more detail to that spectrum or that bandwidth. So that's an option that this one has. That option might be in other ones, but I don't know how to get to it. Okay, I think I babbled enough about this program. And like I say, I'm just kind of taking a cursory look at them. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, then I can take each one and go in more detail. Again, I'm no expert. So I think I'm ready to move on. Let's see what's in the chat room. Okay, so now we're going to close this program. And what's a little confusion is, like I said, each one of these are windows that you can open. You don't have to have them all open, and therefore some of the ones that are eating up a lot of your CPU power, you can turn off. So for instance, we can turn this one off right here, this big one here. So I just hit the X here and it's gone. Now let's see, the CPU usage went down. It went down for this program. Now, what is always confusing me is the way I've got this layout, and you can move these windows around. Let me just show you. So you can move these around, every one of them. So that's another nice feature of this one. The thing is, once you got it set up the way you want to, you have to remember to save the setup. Because if you don't, whatever was last saved, when you start the program again, that's the setup you'll get. So like, for instance, you can see now I got things moved around and I deleted one. So I'm going to now close the program. Now, the way you close the program is this main window here. You click on that X, that closes the program. So now, because I didn't save that setup, if I load it back up again, it goes back to the setup that I saved before, and it starts with it not playing. So you have to click play down here. And there we are back where we were, same frequency, everything is set up the way we had it before, except I think the memory panel now is back to the default memory panel. Okay, so that's that program. So let's close this down. So just to highlight, I like this memory thing here, and I like this recorder. I won't show. I can show you that recorder function, but I haven't used it, so I've forgotten how it works. I did do a show showing that recorder function, but it's kind of handy. Now, I think the drawback, unless they've changed it, is that it will only record everything coming from the SDR, which makes it a huge file. But then when you use the playback, then it's just like the radio is on, like it was when you recorded. I hope that makes sense. So that's the main two things that really stand out for this program. And of course, it's designed to work with the SDR play. Okay, we'll shut that down. Now, the next one I want to try is SDR console. Now, this one takes quite a bit, well, takes a good amount more of CPU power. And now it's running. Let me turn the audio down. Okay, let's go to same frequency we were before, which was 10 megahertz. Oops, I screwed that up. Should have just typed it in. Okay, there we are at 10 megahertz. And let me change this so you can see. There we go. That's one nice feature of this one. Now, what this is this is SDR console configured for the SDR Play. On the SDR Play website, they have a configuration of SDR console that's set up for their SDR. SDR console will work with many, many SDRs, including the RTL-SDR.com SDR. Now, I have, just with my general setup here, I have noticed that SDR console doesn't seem to be as sensitive as SDR Play. Now, my guess is that's because I don't have it set up exactly like SDR Play. I don't know where to begin to get them set up at the same. But let's go into what I like about this program. Many things I like about this program, but I'm just going to talk about a few things that I like about this program. The main thing I like about this program is up here called favorites. This is where when you find a station that you like and you want to go back to it sometime, you can save that setup. And all you have to do is click on this add. And I'm going to click on the ad, but I'm not going to save it. Click on the ad and then put in some information about this particular station that you're tuned to. You can give it a title. You can group it by groups. Like I'll show you in a minute. I've got various groups. And you can put it in various folders. All right, so we're not going to save this one. Here are the ones that came with the program and some more that I've added. So I've added a folder called WWV. And I click on this, and these are all the setups for a given frequency that I have saved. And so I can click on WWV Canada. And it goes to there, and all the things I had set up, boom, they're there. Just instantly, they're there. They're saved. I don't have to figure out what I did before and all that stuff. So as you can see, I'm not receiving that right now. We can do another one real quick. We can do 5 megahertz, WWV at 5 megahertz. Boom, there it is. And it's booming in. Look at that thing. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here and look at the chat room. Okay, nothing new in the chat room. And we have 13 watchers. Appreciate it. Let me just digress for a minute, and anybody that's new that just tuned in what I'm doing. I'm testing Hangouts on the air again with this computer setup and this radio setup. And the subject today is comparing 3 software packages to control an SDR. And I'm not going into any detail. I'm just kind of pointing out the things I like about each package. A couple of features that I like about each package. Okay, so right now we're looking at SDR console. This is the October 23rd, 2017 version. Now there is a newer version, but this version, as I mentioned before, was set up by the SDR Play people to work with their SDR. So that's why I'm using that. I'm not using the latest version. Okay. So as I was saying, one feature I like is this ability to have favorites. I'll just show you, and some of these are already pre-set up, like broadcast, amateur, marine, air, utility. All those are already set up, came with the program. I added WWV, My Best, and FM radio. And you can add more folders, and you can stick different channels that you've tuned in each of the folders. Nice, neat system. Now, on top of that is memories. And that's similar, but not exactly the same. And I have not used that yet, so I'm not going to go into that. This program also has record capability. And I'm trying to remember. Now let's just try it. I'll click on record. That selects a recording file. I'm trying to remember if this program has 2 options. Well, let's just try it. Record, and we'll just use the defaults. We'll just use the defaults. Start. Okay, it should be recording now. And yes, down here, it tells you the file size. And let me stop it. And you have the option of record format. And some of these are more efficient than others. Okay, so we're going to stop that. So you can record with this one. It doesn't appear that you have 2 options of recording. One of the programs gives you 2 options. The 2 options are record everything that's coming out of the radio, which makes those huge files. The other option is to record only the audio. So you're just going to play back the audio. You won't know the frequency or any of that stuff because none of the displays will be working. But it's a small file. And I believe you can set a squelch level so that it doesn't record just noise. You can set the level. So that's kind of, but this one, I believe in this version, which is the October 23, 2017 version, the record is a record of everything. And you can see down here, I almost reached a gigabyte in the few seconds that I was recording. So it makes huge files. All right. What else do I like about this program? Gosh, there's a lot of things. Trying to think. Oh, another thing you can do, which I've just touched on, is you can use this matrix view, which you can display multiple segments from your SDR. So say your SDR was set up with a bandwidth of, say, 2 megahertz. You can, and I'm just going to try this right here real quick. Again, we could crash the program. So here you can add other snapshots. This is the one I'm using. You could add up to 6 or more. I think you can add more. Let's go down. Oops, that's this side. Okay. You can add at least 6 of these windows that will be just like the main window, but they'll be of a different part of the spectrum. Now, the caveat is it only can be a snapshot or a segment out of your main bandwidth, in this case, 2 megahertz. But that way you can monitor and listen to, you can actually listen to 6 different segments out of that bandwidth. So say you had, let me just close this temporarily. So say you had like this station here and this station here, and say this station was not there all the time, but just broadcasting in intervals. Say it was, a utility station of some kind, like a weather station. You could actually make those 2 windows and monitor both of them at the same time instead of having to switch between the 2 every time a signal came up on the other one. That's pretty cool. That is unique to this program. I don't know any other program that'll do that. Maybe they will, but I don't know what they are. Okay, I'm going to take a look at the chat room. Yeah, 741 asked, do any of them have the capability of scheduling recording? And someone replied, HD SDR does. And I think HD SDR also is the one that has the 2 recording methods. So that's each of these programs. I mean, I cannot say I like this program the best. They all have various good features, and some of them are unique to that particular program, like the favorites on this program. Now, there's probably something similar in other programs, but this one is so easy to use. You just go to favorites, whatever station you're tuned to, you say add, and then you put in those parameters I showed you before, and boom, it's stored away on your hard drive, and it's there for you to get back to anytime you want. And it records, it saves the frequency, the bandwidth, the mode. Like for instance, if I go up here to FM, which of course is going to be a different mode than I have right now, and I select this one right here. Okay, so there's all the local FM stations, and it changed it to FM mode. It's now got this decoding right here going on, which is what I had set up. And here's the bandwidth, which is, it's pretty big bandwidth I had here. I had 89.5 all the way up to 96.5. So I had a pretty significant bandwidth when I set this up. So that's that. Trying to think of anything else that I have used that stands out. No, I can't think of anything. Now, there is, in a different version of SDR console, in a newer version, it has other functions like satellite tracking. You're into listening to amateur radio satellites or even the ISSS. He has that. It's not in this version. Okay, now let's take one more look at something before we leave here. And down here, he has current CPUs by this program. Now, this is just by this program. And he's saying that it's 59 to 60%. As I mentioned when I first opened this up, this program is more CPU intensive. And I'm surprised it hasn't crashed, because this program alone is saying that it's using 60% of my CPU power. That's pretty high when you think about the Hangout on the Air is using a bunch too. So the video may be, and the audio may be choppy right now while I'm running this. Let me see if somebody can give me an indication whether the video and or the audio on my broadcast is breaking up. Let me stand by and watch the chat room. Okay, thanks, Brett. Got an answer to that question. So this is kind of worst case of using, well, it's definitely not worst case, but it could be worse, for using a software package for the SDR and doing a Hangout on the Air with my kind of mediocre computer. Now, let me go back and you choose a different favorite, one that's probably not as intensive. So right now, we're using, well, it's down to 50 now, 50 to 60%. So let's just go to WWV, which is a little less going on. The bandwidth is 4.9 to 5.2, a little shorter bandwidth. And the CPU usage is down to 38. So that's another thing you have to be careful about, is how powerful your processor is and your internet access. Now, I know 741 and I tried to do a Hangout on the Air where we were both on at the same time, and he was struggling with keeping up because of his computer and his internet provider. So we didn't solve that problem. So that's why we haven't been able to do a Hangout on the Air with both of us in the show at the same time. Hopefully we can solve that, because 741 brings a lot of information, especially about SDR Uno, to the program that can help us learn how to use SDR Uno. What else are we doing here? Oh, see this huge signal right here? That is a Spanish program. I don't know if it's coming out of Florida or Cuba, South America, but it comes in the morning on that frequency, and it just booming in, as you can see from the display. Oh my gosh, it's booming in. So if my radio or any radio I'm using is not receiving that signal, then it's broke. It's not working, or the antenna fell down or whatever. Okay, let me see if there's anything in the chat room. Yeah, I could try checking Task Manager, but that might crash. That might be too much. Should I go for it or not? I won't go for it right now. Maybe I'll do it later, because Task Manager, believe it or not, takes up a lot of CPU usage. I think, Well, once it quiets down, it's about 20 to 25% on my computer. So I'm a little hesitant to do that because, especially now, because this program alone says it's using 40 to 50%. And I don't know what Hangout on the Air is using. So let me shut this down. Now, what I could do, let me shut this down. And like I say, at any minute, the Hangout on the Air could go crashing down. That's that's part of the experiment. Now that I'm not running any SDR software, let me just try. I hope this doesn't crash. Let me try the task manager. Here we go. Okay, it's running. And so and you can see when it first started, the CPU usage was 47%. That's everything. And right now it's settled down to 35%. So I'm using 35% of my CPU power just running Hangouts on the Air and Task Manager. Now, let me see. So Task Manager now has, let's sort by name here, otherwise I can't keep up. It's fine. There's Task Manager. So Task Manager now has quieted down and it's not using much CPU. It's interesting that Google Chrome, which is how I'm getting to Hangout on Air, is only 4.8%. And yet my total usage is 35. So let me click on this and Spooler Subsystem app. What the heck is that? I got to investigate that. I think that's a spooler for the printer. And why is it using almost 30% of the CPU? I don't know. If I wasn't doing the Hangout right now, I would tell it to stop that and see what happens. I've got to go investigate that. So that was a good idea to run Task Manager because this is a huge number, 28%. Wow. That could solve a lot of problems if I turn that off. So we're going to shut this down before it crashes everything. And now we're going to try the last program I want to try, which is HD SDR. And again, the people at SDR Play configured HD SDR for the P1, which I have, and the P2. I think the P1 will also work with the 1A. So they've configured it to work with that. So I'm going to open this up. And we'll turn the volume off. And let's tune to 5 megahertz, which is kind of what I was using before, just to have at least the frequency the same. Okay. And there's WWV, and there's that Cuban station booming in. Now, what is my band? Let me check my bandwidth here. Bandwidth. Yeah, bandwidth right now is, for the input, is 2 megahertz, which is what I had before. So the bandwidth is the same. The output is 192K. I don't remember what it was in the other program. So down here, this has an indicator of CPU usage. The top one is by SDR, which is only 14 to 17%, considerably lower than the other two programs. And it says the total CPU usage is only 50 to 55%. Much better. Now, maybe it's not doing as many things. Maybe, depending on the hundreds of options, maybe, I've got it running kind of, shall I call it, easy on the CPU. I don't know for sure. There's so many variables, and I could spend hours just adjusting the variables and see the effect on these numbers down here. But these numbers are pretty small. So I could easily, I could easily do a hangout on the air using this program and, scan the bands and things like that. Now, this also has a recorder. It's down here, this bar right here. And it says to right click to configure. So I'll right click it. And now this is the one I was looking for. This is the one that gives you a whole bunch of options on record. I mean, this for recording, this is probably the best right now based on the options. So let's just look at the options for a second. I'm going to look in the chat room for a second. Yeah, I don't know what that spore thing is. That's one thing I didn't mention. I'm running Windows 10. And I've made a lot of changes to it, but there's a lot of things in Windows 10 that just, shall I use a word, suck. They just suck. I put off many, many years going to Windows 10, and then I slowly migrated to it. And then, of course, this computer that I got last year, I think, came with Windows 10. So I've slowly migrated to Windows 10. And I've spent hours and hours shutting things down, configuring things to make it more efficient. So that's probably something I overlooked. I've got to look into that. What are you trying to say, 741? That you have a dollar resource problem? I think I can relate to that. And the only reason I have this newer computer is one of my subscribers sent me the money to buy it. So that's the only reason I have it. So I can understand what you're saying. And the reason he did that is because I too was struggling. I mean, it was taking me hours to process a video, to edit a video and process. I finally just gave up on editing. But I could not get, just like you, 741, I could not get Hangouts on the air to work without problems. He purchased this computer for me. It was on sale, tremendous sale on Amazon, and that fixed the problems. That fixed the problems. But like I say, I spent several days getting Windows configured so that it wasn't such a CPU hog. Okay, let's go back to this. HDSDR recording. Look at all those features. Now, I think it was 741, was asking about scheduling. Here's a scheduling section right here. And you can schedule multiple activities, multiple times that you record, when you start, when you stop, and things you do after you record. It blows your mind out with all the features. Going back up here. Here is the things that you can record. If you select RF, that records everything that's coming out of the radio when you're listening. So it's going to be a huge file. And you can select the format type. Let's see what types they give you. They only give you WinRAR, RAW, and Pernicus. That's a little limited. The more efficient is H764, which is what YouTube uses. That's not one of the options. So the file is going to be big. But you can split the file into segments. I'm not sure the advantage of that, but you can set up to split the file into segments, or the recording into segments, and then you can specify how big each segment is. Okay, so that's one. You can record just the IF out of the SDR. And the most efficient one, as far as storage on your hard drive, is only to record the audio. But of course, you lose everything. You can't go back and play it just like you were listening or watching your SDR real time. So it's a trade-off. If you record everything, it's going to be a huge file. If you record only the audio, it's going to be a much, much smaller file. So at least it has the options for you. I would say if you're going to record the RF, either record it for a short period of time, probably less than a half hour, or you can come down and use a scheduler and only record it during certain times during the day. And down here, you can tell it, okay, based on the start and stop times, do that every day. So for instance, I'm getting into 10 meters on the amateur radio bands, and I don't know when it's active or what. So I could use this function to monitor that band. I could record the whole thing. I could use RF. So I could take the whole segment of the, I believe, of the 10-meter band for technicians' voice, which I think is 28.3 to 28.5. So it's not a big segment. That's another thing, is how big a bandwidth you're recording will determine the size of the file. So I can make it a small bandwidth, 28.3 to 28.5, tell it to record that different times of the day or even all day. I don't know how big that, you'll have to experiment with this, how big these files will be based on your settings as far as the bandwidth you're recording, whatever. So that's it. This is really nice. If you want to do recording, this is the program to use, HD SDR. Now, like I said, let me go look at the chat room for a minute and then I'll rest my voice for a minute. Okay, 741. Now I know what you mean. A resource problem as far as the computer's resources. I got you. Well, I had both problems. Okay. Yeah, Terry says he's on disability. He can relate. Well, I'm kind of there. I'm not on disability, but I'm on Social Security. So yeah, Brett, I wish I had more time. I'm getting off the subject here, but anyway, I want to address the comments in the chat. As you get older, you have less time. Even when you retire, you have less time because your body just won't let you go as many hours you used to go when you used to work. At one point in my career, I was working 7 days a week, 18-hour shifts. But I was much younger. Now, I'm good for about 4 to 6 hours, and then I have to take a nap. Okay, moving on. Okay, I think I'm caught up in the chat room. Again, I'm no expert on any of these programs, so I'm looking for your inputs about features or things you like or things you don't like about this program. Just jump in the chat room, let us know. We got to share this information. And if you like this format of kind of communicating together about things like, well, there's the phone. Well, my wife will pick it up probably. We can do this more often. Okay. So that, well, I thought you'd pick it up, but anyway, just let it ring. So that's the one feature I like of this program. This program also has a what it calls frequency manager, which is similar to the memory manager in the other program. And once again, you can set these up yourself. This is where I've imported the EIBI, which again is a huge database. You can see it starts at 16.4 kilohertz and it goes to 27.85. EIB is a database of supposedly active frequencies. This is an interesting one. It's a strange, you find the strangest things when you start looking at stuff. Here's WFLA Tampa, Florida. That's the local TV station in my area. And it says that they broadcast on 25.870. I have to investigate that. I had no idea. And there's a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of either radio or TV stations. No, I take that back. WFLA is also a radio station, a local radio station on 970 medium wave, 970 kilohertz. But here it is up at, I didn't know it's on shortwave. That'd be an interesting try. Maybe I'll try it right now. But anyway, this has this frequency database, and you can, what the heck? I'll try it. What the heck? They're babbling. Nothing there. Well, it's worth trying. And maybe it's on different times of the day, or maybe this is old data. We could try other ones. Let's try Texas. Of course, again, up here, way up here at the top end of the shortwave band, not very active as far as signals propagating. Right now, we're in the bottom end of the 11-year solar cycle, so propagation is really poor. And it will be that way, unfortunately, for a couple of years, except for exceptions. And there's always random exceptions. Now, there's something over here. I wonder what this is. Now, this program doesn't appear that when you click on a frequency that you could see it in the database. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. What's this? I haven't used this, so bear with me. Again, this is kind of a two-way street. You're learning and I'm learning. Let's click on Get Current. And I'm at 25.7 something. And it didn't go there. So what? Oh, yeah, it did. There it is right there. Find match. That's what I want. No match in the current frequency list. Okay. So it does have that search. Oh, that's cool. It does have search also, just like the other program had, or similar. And since I did this Get Current, it got the parameters, and I can probably, I don't see any way to do it. I was wondering if there's some way of saving this, what it found. Again, I'm not familiar with this. It does look interesting, so I'll have to try that. That's the beauty of all of these programs. And there's many more programs. This is just three. I would call these the top three. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are other ones that are just as popular. But that's the beauty of these programs. And the beauty of SDRs is you have all these functions that you can play with and try to figure out how to use them. Let me go to the chat room, see if anybody's still here. Yes, I actually did one or two shows on SDR Touch. And what I did is, it's an Android application, and I installed it on my Android tablet. And the problem is with most Android tablets is they have the micro or mini SDR port. And most of your SDR dongles have a full-size USB port or connector. So you have to get an adapter. And I did that. I got the adapter, a little short cable, and you install an SDR Touch driver and SDR Touch, and boom, you are now controlling your SDR dongle with your tablet. Pretty cool. So that makes it portable to some degree, because you still got to connect an antenna. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I did a show on that some time ago. Okay. Get current is for storing the actual frequency to the one the use of the user options. Okay, that's what that is. So maybe that goes in here. Let's see, let me just, user one. Okay, let's just select user one. And yeah, okay, thanks. See, this is what this show's about, helping each other out. I had no idea that's what that did. Thank you very much. So here you can build, similar to favorites in SDR console, you can build this frequency database of stuff you're interested in. So apparently I did it once before because there's one in there. This is cool. Now, and you can then go in and edit. You can add, replace, delete all, get current, churn. That's cool. That is cool. I got to give this program, HDSDR, a thumbs up on this frequency manager. And I need to learn more about using it, obviously. Okay, the three programs that I consider the top programs, and there, like I said, there's many more, and there's some that are only for Macintosh, there's some that are only for Linux. But for the Windows, it's this program, HDSDR, SDR Console, SDR Sharp, which I haven't showed you. And what was the other one? Oh, for this dongle, which is the SDR Play, it's the SDR Uno. Now that, as I've said before, that will work with other SDRs, but it's mainly designed to work with the SDR Play, which is what I'm using right now. Okay, so those are the top three. Now let me see if I can show you something else. Let's close this and let's open up Chrome, and I will open a new tab and we'll go to, see if I can remember what it is, SDR. Oh, here it is, RTL SDR. Okay, RTL-SDR.com, who I have, he sent the author of this web page, and he produces he designed the RTL-SDR.com dongle, which is my favorite inexpensive dongle. It's $24.95, and it does a terrific job. And I did several shows on it. And he also makes a antenna kit, a portable antenna kit. But he also has this fantastic website, and it's www.rtl-sdr.com. And he has a ton of information on there. And one of the things he has is this software area. And he has listings of the various software programs to control an SDR. And I'm going to just show it to you right quick and show you how many there are. And he has, see, the last time he updated his list was August of last year. And I've been bugging him about updating it again. So here are just a listing. I think he has the most popular at the top. This is SDR Sharp, which I'm not going to show you today. Here's HDSDR, and it's got the link to get these programs. You click on, I think, the title, and it takes you to where that program is, so you can download it. Here's SDR Radio. I think this is now called SDR Console. Here's Linrad, which is for Linux, Windows, and Mac. I didn't particularly like that program, but there again, maybe I just didn't understand how to use it. That could be. Not very popular. So use GQRX, which is popular for the Mac and Linux. I've run that and demonstrated it. Pretty simple program, but it gets the job done. This is what threw me off. The SDR, excuse me, let's start over. Studio One used to be a very expensive paid program. And I think what happened was the people at SDR Play bought the rights to it and got the right to give it away. So this is SDR Uno now. At least that's what I'm running, which is right here. Here it is. As a matter of fact, it says SDR Play have now acquired the rights to Studio One and have released a free version. So that's what it's come. And like I say, it can be used with their software, with their SDR and other units, SDR units, such as the RTL-SDR unit with the right drivers. I have to keep that in mind. Now here's Skinny SDR. I've never heard that one. And that is, it doesn't say what platform it runs on. And I'll just quickly scroll through these because I'll just show you. There's tons of them. Here's the SDR Touch for the Android. This goes on and on and on and on and on. And some of them very unique. They do specific things. If I can find one, for example. And then you say, oh, these are all, here's one. This is one program, the RTL 1090 tracks the ADS-B transceivers that are in an aircraft that are sending out position, speed, and all that stuff. So, and here's ADS box, which gives you the same information on a map form. It's another one. Just goes on and on. But like I say, the one that I did not talk about today, which is, I would say, definitely in the top 4 now. We go back up here to the top, very top, is SDR Sharp. I haven't talked about that one. So I think I've run out of steam here. Let me check the chat room. Okay. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. I think I now have a setup with a computer and SDRs and stuff like that that I can run without it crashing or without dropouts. Now, I have two major setups for these types of things. One here in my office, I'm in my office right now, and one downstairs in my workshop. I got a newer CPU or computer down in the workshop that was given to me. It was a recycled computer. And I've got that working now. So I think I have, knock on wood, I think I've got a setup now that I can consistently do Hangouts on the air and do things like I did today. I will try to set up a time weekly when I do a Hangout. I don't know if I can stick to that schedule or not. I have not been able to in the past, but because I didn't really have the right equipment. I think I've got the right equipment now. If someone will tell me during the course of this show if they've seen any dropouts, either the video and or the audio, please let me know in the Hangout. That will complete my exercise for at least checking that part out. And maybe we can now do more shows like this on a more scheduled basis. So I'm going to check the chat room and then I'm going to wrap it up. Unless somebody has any other questions or comments about software for SDRs. What is your favorite software? Like I say, I don't have a favorite. These 4 programs, and now I'm including the SDR Sharp, are my 4 favorites, and I can't really pick one from the other because each have different features. Like SDR Sharp allows plugins, so you could add features to it yourself that other people have designed. For instance, I have one computer around here someplace that I have SDR Sharp configured, and I did a show on it. As a matter of fact, I did a show on it. I don't think it was live, where there's a plug-in that you can turn an SDR into a scanner radio. That is cool. And SDR Sharp is the only one that I know that can do that. Now, SDR Console, you can kind of do it using the matrix, but XDR Sharp, you can have it scan a wide band way beyond the bandwidth of your SDR. And it will scan it. It's cool. I had it working pretty good, but I was trying to get it to work on the newer computer I've got, and I have a problem somewhere. I can't get it set up right. So anyway, that's the other one. Okay. Terry says no dropouts. Oh, thank goodness. That was the biggest thing I was worried about. Also, Mr. Bender said everything worked fine. Thank you, Mr. Bender. Okay, I think we got there. I think the setup is working. So I will try to schedule these more in advance. It's difficult for me because my schedule is pretty erratic. But I will try to schedule it on a Saturday. Another thing is trying to pick the best time for the viewers so that so you can be here live to help me. That's what it's all about, helping me. I think maybe, let's see, if I did it like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. So 10 o'clock in the morning would be fine local here in Clearwater, Florida. That would be 7 o'clock Pacific time, a little early. So maybe I want to go a little beyond that. Maybe 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock here would be fine. 1 o'clock on the west coast of Florida would be, I can't, my mind's gone. It would be 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on the west coast. In Asia, it would be 1 o'clock at night. That's not too good. In Europe, it would be like 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not so good. So any suggestions about a good time of day? I know it's depending on where you live. Let's go back to 10 a.m. 10 a.m. is 7 a.m. on the west coast of Florida. It's 10 p.m. in Asia. And it's about 2 p.m. in Europe, depending on where you're at. I think that sounds like a good time. I think I'll try for shooting for that. Yeah, I should have used UTC. I don't know why I didn't use UTC. Much easier to do the math. Okay. See if we have any more comments. So it would be 10 a.m. local time would be 2 p.m. UTC, approximately. 4 hours. Well, it depends on whether it's daylight savings or non-daylight. I hate daylight savings. That whole concept is antique, needs to go away. Quit changing the time, please. Anyway, somewhere around there. Jeez. Yeah. So depending on what time of the year is and what government is in control, where there are 4 hours difference or 5 hours difference than UTC, where UTC minus either 4 hours or 5 hours. They don't change the UTC time. Why do we have to change our standard time in times in the United States? I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off on that. I think we're through because I'm losing my voice and I'm losing my mind. So thanks everybody for stopping by. I think this was, at least from my point of view, a total success. And I thank everybody that contributed and helped me. And like one of the things I'd want to do is take one of these programs, because I just barely touched the surface of these programs, and kind of go over them with you, the viewers, who are more expert than I am of each of these programs. Again, if you could put in the comments, not in the chat room right now, because I'm going to close that down, but if you could put it in the comments under the show, which program you want me to look at next. And here are the four: SDR Sharp, HD SDR, SDR Console it's called now, not Linrad, not that one, Studio One, which is now SDR Uno. So of those four, which would you like me to do a show on? And we'll do give and take. You help me and I'll help you, and mostly you help me. So that's it. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I'm completely losing my voice. Have a great day. Bye-bye.